Are you on?
We changed it to I Love Marcia. What's going on? So you see what you're looking at. First page is Michael Craig, the other one at the top.
Yeah.
Top items for the next 30 days, if you will. So that's that breakdown. The project plan was already in the council packet. This is like what's next for the 30 days that needs to be top priority. This one is DPW overtime breakdown from my finance director. There's a back on that too. This one is note from a resident around hiring process considerations. Yeah, this is Mr. Fonte's hiring recommendations. And this is, last page is MML interim manager resources.
Thank you.
They were said electronically, so make sure we have a hard copy. How you feel?
Township manager search, and we did, they picked the MML. Well, it was the Michigan Township Association, and it was basically, it was time well spent.
Yeah, they offer different packages and like how you, what level of support you require, if you will. I mean, it's gonna cost you money and time. That's really, that's your variables to consider. Dorothy! What's that?
No, you up
Yeah,
there,
he's
we
out
can
today.
all watch it.
What's that?
Did the text make it clear?
It's always been clear.
This is something that was sent over electronically today. Just got a hard copy. One is Michael's 30-day priority list at the end of the project plan. This one is from.
I'd like to still do some of these Carlson logos out at some point.
I thought the computer was supposed to.
Cool, yeah, that's what track did, right?
Yeah, I'd like to do that at some point.
From Mr. Fonte from hiring process considerations, and this one is MML from manager resources. Great.
Andy, I think.
I thought it was pretty clear too. Basically,
I had to wait on her. She.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they got each other up and over. He's still pretty good. He's blowing her off.
Anyways.
Get to the point of it, right?
Yeah, I had to wait on her, so I'm waiting. Here she comes. She gets in, and says she's waiting on Joe. He's on the toilet. All right. Couple minutes go by, she's still waiting on Joe. Oh, yeah, yeah. All right. He turned the corner, and I cut off a couple of minutes and see him turn the corner and call us in the service. I knew all that shit was gonna happen. I wouldn't have did it.
What about it?
No, well, I wouldn't have waited, I wouldn't have.
Our biggest concern is
Right. Well,
that's and that ambulance that got registered was not gonna deal with it.
I'm just
Just
telling
like
you
in
what
the,
went.
the wood chip and how they do it. So we get the license faster, more soon. Oh, the high, is there anything else in the packet? Here, just
paper boy now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Are we all set up on the AV perspective?
Go. Thank you. Council, can everybody turn their mics on if they're not on? Get started in 1 minute. All right, everybody, we have hit 6 p.m. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
I want to welcome everybody to this evening's special meeting of the City Council. Thank you to those that are in person in attendance and to all those that are tuning in virtually. Katie, can we please start with roll call?
Schumate,
Here.
Cox,
Here.
Cosmore. Here. McNabb.
Here.
Molnar.
Here.
Valentine. Wood.
Here.
Great. We have one councilman absent, Councilman Valentine. Is there a motion to excuse Councilman Valentine?
Motion to excuse Valentine. Second.
Any discussion? Katie, can you call roll?
Cox,
Yes.
Cosmore. Yes. McNabb.
Yes.
Molnar.
Yes.
Schumate.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
All right. We have a public comment sandwich this evening, so we'd like to open up with the public comment. For anybody that has public comment, please approach the mic and state your name and address.
Woody.
Sit down.
Going once, going twice. All right. Well, that will.
This not like a council meeting.
We have the public comment meeting, so yeah, your podium is yours if you'd like it.
I'll wait till after, do I get a chance to talk after?
Yeah, we got a sandwich, so we'll have one at the end as well.
All right. Looks like they're breaking the door down to get in here.
Yes, right. All right, great. That will close our public comment session at the opening, but again, we'll have a public comment period after our agenda items today. So with that, let's jump into our special meeting. The public notice and associated agenda in front of you is focused on 2 items. Number 1 is city administrator hiring process, and number 2 is professional services. So those are the 2 items we'll cover. We'll go one by one through those items, and then to our public, we'll open up for public comment thereafter. Treasurer Arp is also seated at the seat in front of me, just so everybody's aware virtually. So Treasurer Arp, please let us know if you have any comments as we go through today's discussion. For the city administrator hiring process, I'll just kick it off with a couple thoughts. Number 1, I just want to thank everybody, including Michael, for the transition planning. Council, in front of you, you have the first document that was printed and shared by Katie earlier electronically. It was just intended to be like what's really hot for the city and city administrator in the next 30 days. So that's one document I thought would be useful for this evening. Thank you, Michael, for assembling it. And that would relates in some cases to the broader project descriptions that Michael had provided that's been included in your council packet. So thank you for the transition planning in advance of today's call. Second thing is, just want to thank all of our department heads, as well as our DPW, Bill and Jerry and Clint. I know everybody has been all hands on deck trying to make sure we're prepared for Michael's last day, which is technically going to be on Friday of this week. So I just want to thank everybody for covering bases already as we prepare for transition. And the third thing is, I know that Treasurer Arp had expressed that he had tried to maneuver his work, professional work, to make himself available for transition planning support. So Treasurer Arp, just profuse thank you. And I also had at least one resident reach out with the same mentality. That's Dominic Pope, who's in your packet actually, had reached out and offered his help for any way he could be supportive in any transition planning. So I want to just start off with a thank you and make sure council is aware of not only Mr. Arp, but Dominic's raising of hands. I think really what I'd love to just have the council discussion today is, I think there's two hot items here under the city administrator hiring process. One is, how do we make sure the city is in good shape operationally with Michael's departure come Friday? So that's like the transition planning and base coverage. And then the second item is, how do we, council, want to manage the hiring process for the future city administrator? So that's what I want to lay the land on. I think one relevant item for transition would be MML. I spoke with MML today, and they do have an interim manager list. So literally you could reach out and they have resumes. I don't know if anybody got a chance to explore that link that was in your email.
I did. Did you get? Yeah.
Yeah,
They
so-
looked
so
like
I-
some really good potential helpers there.
I love that. And so I think just in the interest of efficiency for the council discussion, I'd love to just like start there if that's open to it, unless somebody else has any comments, which is, do we want to consider, we know we're going to have a window of exposure. So let's start there. Friday is Michael's last day. So no matter how this hiring process is decided upon amongst council, we will have exposure. So I think it would be prudent for council to consider, number one, which council members or individuals would kind of help lead point on perhaps working with MML on the interim manager list. It's technically MML and the Managers Association. There's like a partnership there, so that we can immediately explore interim manager support. So that whatever our window ends up being for our hiring process, that we know we're already hot on the ball to get interim support in beyond Treasurer Arp or anybody else that's willing to support the bases. So I'd just like to start there. I guess the council, is there an appetite for that interim manager pursuit?
I'm always willing to help, because I know I had done this on the school board. I helped, hire 3 superintendents. I've been part of that. We actually, the first one we actually done, where MML has the, where you can have them do the search for you. We actually did that at one point.
Okay,
But we found out after the next time that we could really do it ourselves.
okay,
It wasn't what we thought it was gonna be, so we were just better off doing it on our own. We could just do it on our own, save the money,
Okay.
because I know there's different price lists. And I know we actually have some viable candidates that did send in some resumes. But I guess how much time between we hire and there, that's, but I can look into it. I don't mind looking into it deeper, and how much prices and how amount of time we can get someone.
yeah, I think, thank you, Councilwoman Cosmore. I think that there's 2 points there. One is like, do we want to pursue an interim manager, right? And that would be the list on the link. The second item is, in context of the hiring process, do we want to pursue like MML support? Because they have executive searching, which we shared that with council today. Like they literally will help recruit or search for city administrators.
To second one of Marcia's comments there, in the past, the executive search committees really can be beneficial, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that we will end up doing in-house, and we have a more intimate connection to what we need than
Okay.
they do anyway.
Yep.
And then they charge us for it. So it's really probably something that we could probably create our own executive search committee here if we want to go that route, rather than paying somebody. I think we're more
Yeah, I think-
intimately
yeah. Well, I
involved.
think, you know, if it's a big city, is, you know, if we're doing like Detroit, I can see them
Yeah.
Yeah.
having that, but I said, we're small enough to, I think we can handle this, and
So what does council think? Maybe then we land this executive search topic. So to Councilman Molnar's point, in addition to Councilwoman Cosmore, it costs us money. I sent those packets over from MML today to do that, and it sounds like we would rather take that on ourselves, if I'm hearing correctly. Any council objections to foregoing that MML executive search support? Does anybody want to pursue that, or are we all aligned to the two council comments so far?
I'm fine with council's comments.
I think we
Okay.
can handle it.
Okay, so that lands that. So we can table the executive search off of the discussion at this point. So then let's hit the second one, which is, we don't know how long this process is going to take us, right, for the hiring process. We're going to talk about that next. I think it would be prudent for us to explore this interim manager list. For anybody that flicked through the website, I did. It's got resume and a bunch of other information about each candidate. And what MML told me was those individuals have expressed whether they're retired or in between jobs or looking to do something to support municipal activities. They're ready, willing, and able to work for a city in a part-time capacity while we explore our hiring process more thoroughly. I would highly recommend we consider taking action on that, so that we don't know what our window is going to look like, but that way we know Friday's our last day with Michael, and this will give us I would say, an accelerated path to getting somebody formally to help.
because there's some, you know, like the grants and stuff, we have to stay on top of all of them or we lose them. I think even hiring is gonna take us at least a month, because the person's gonna have to like, you know, give 2 weeks for their job that they're on, you know what I mean? And then it's gonna take us a couple of weeks to, I mean, the minimum will be a month before we have somebody
Exactly.
in this job. So,
So is everybody aligned to pursue some sort of?
Is the intent to make a motion to approve something, okay, right, based on an interim basis or a temporary basis? Are we going to empower somebody to make that decision?
I think it's,
Council's behalf? I'm just trying to figure out procedurally how we want to handle this.
I think it's spot on. So maybe then council can start now with discussing like how we want to manage that process. So if there's seemingly general support for interim manager support, who from council would want to serve as point? I know there's been comments. Go ahead.
I guess my first, before we go too far down that path, I'd like to learn a little bit more about Treasurer Arp's volunteering. I think that based on the 4 resumes that I opened today on that MML list, there were 2 that were like, oh gee, this would be really cool to bring these 2 folks in here and have an opportunity. But I think first knowing what your availability is and looking at that path first and knowing, you know, are you able to help 12 hours a week? Are you able to help 38 hours a week?
I thought it was great hearing from another citizen. I don't know Dominic, but
Yep.
The more people we can recruit, I think is better. So if he's interested and you're familiar with him, it's great to have somebody that's from the community that's wanted. I've already made arrangements with work. I can be available. It won't be a full-time capacity, but I'm sure I can attend most of the meetings that would be required by the administrator, and we can pass on that information back here, but it's gonna be an all hands on deck here.
Yeah.
In all reality, and I'll just give you my brief history on, this will be my 5th administrator. 2 of them I hired, you know, I consider one the ace and the other one was not so good. And our experience was this: we got a pile of resumes, we sat in here, we knocked it out, we went over them all, and everybody came back to the meeting, and you brought your top 3, top 5, and we kept going down it. And if I was gonna be an administrator for this city, there's nobody that asks better questions than people that it's your own house.
Yep.
And we're gonna grill the hell out of them, you know, so, I mean, it is, everybody here's been through this, we all know how to try to pick the right guy. But, you know, like I said, one was a hero, the other guy, it wasn't his forte, you know?
I want to comment, Brian, and I'm in full support of Brian doing this, but I don't know if an elected person is allowed to serve in that position.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good
So-
point, yeah.
So legally, I think that's a great push, right? And that would be,
And
like,
that's not, I want to know before we do
Well,
anything.
it sounded like he's offering, if push comes to shove and we need the help, is
Right.
what I'm hearing.
I'll be a first aid kit here.
Yeah,
Right?
understood.
That's,
Because there's meetings that's gotta be
that's it.
attended.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Rick, because there can be some, that's why I suggest if we can get somebody, if we've got somebody from the community that's got some experience that wants to jump on board this, while we work at this, let's grab.
The little challenge that I see there with that, and generally supportive of the idea of a community resident stepping in and helping and us leaning on him, the little bit of a challenge that I see there is he's also an applicant for the job.
Yep.
And that's not the route that I would want to see us go with. Yeah.
I think it's a really important comment, and I think it circles back to like the limitation of an elected official, right? And that you're more of a, I'm here to help in first aid where needed, but that's not gonna fulfill the full requirements of the coverage we need.
But it might give us a week or two while we're getting one of these other interim folks on board.
Yes, exactly, and that's why I divert back to, I think it's really responsible for us to take immediate steps to get an interim manager.
Yeah.
Because we don't know how long this process is gonna take, and if we find the right candidate, how long it's gonna be till they're sitting in the seat, right? So the interim manager, if we take that step today, as in who's gonna be the task force or committee that helps us advance that exploration, and then hopefully get somebody in there, that helps us feel assured that we have somebody that's trained and skilled
Yeah.
to do this job in an interim capacity while we explore the right candidate for the long term. That's what I'm hoping to achieve. And
Yeah.
so I think the question becomes then, I know there's suggestions around Councilman McNabb and Councilwoman Wood on being council points for the exploration. Like, I think one model council could consider is that interim list is provided to you. We could, if we have council points that could screen what we have as candidates, whether it's at the next council meeting, February 12th, which is a little bit of time, or whether we call a motion for a special meeting again next week,
I'd
right? I would prefer that,
Yeah.
because we're gonna lose him Friday. So if we could get us, I guess the ask would be a motion for council to figure out who's on point for exploring these interim candidates. And their job would be to come back to council at a special meeting, which would be another motion, to lay out a proposed path for potentially considering a candidate to come in as an interim manager.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Does that sound like a good idea to council? So that would be, basically, we'd need two motions. We'd need one would be for the council committee that's gonna lead that effort. And I know we talked about Councilman McNabb and Councilwoman Wood to be a part of that, I would say, exploration. Like, your job would be to come back to us at the special meeting next week.
Can there be three?
I'm sorry?
It'd be
As
three.
long as
Yeah.
you have four, you can do three.
I think we should have three. Instead of just two of us, three of us sit down,
Yeah.
hash it out.
And I know one thing I shared with, I want to make sure, like I told everybody via email, like the literal definition charter is that the city administrator serves at the discretion of the mayor and council. I'd love to be a part of this three-person search committee if that's something that council favors, but if council feels that that should be a council member instead, meaning three council members, then we'd love to discuss that.
I see where you're at. No, we'll stick with the two and then,
And then I would
Wanna be di-
just be a part of that trio that would pursue the exploration of this interim candidate pool, unless anybody has a concern on that.
I have to leave that up to the, in the
Please.
motion.
I think it would be very advantageous to include the mayor on your commission, as it might be. The administrator works daily with the mayor in every capacity, trying to keep them informed and engaged and aware of what's to come on the daily basis. And without him, I think it'd be a disservice to the residents.
And I'm open for any council discussion on that.
Motion to add this
So-
It'd be motion, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I see both sides of this. I see one side, and obviously the mayor being the chief executive of the city has to have a obvious regular working relationship with the city administrator who carries out the tasks of day to day. I see that, but what we've fallen into a trap of here in the city is the city administrator position not being in regular contact or accountable to the council. And that really needs to be asserted in this scenario. And if that has to happen by your absence on that, that's something that we might have to consider. It's been something for far too long in our city's operating that the administrator has not been in regular accountable contact with the council, and that needs to be resolved. So I see the obvious importance of you being integral in the process, but I also see the downside of what has transpired in our city for the last numerous amount of years, that a prescribed fix may be the quote-unquote exclusion at this point. So I see both sides of it, and I think it's important to point out and discuss. At this point, we're just talking about the appointment of a interim manager, so we haven't even got to the point of creating the task force that's going to be tasked with reviewing long-term replacements. But I think that whatever model we create here, it appears that we're probably going to mirror that for the next process in looking for the city administrator replacement. So I think that we really have to take it all in and make that decision. But I do very much see the importance of working day-to-day with somebody, but I also see it as a previous challenge that we've dealt with, that it puts up a false fence to the rest of the council. And we have to be conscious of that, and we don't want to continue on that same path that we've dealt with in the past.
I ran for this seat to change that path, and I think I've demonstrated to council that I am doing just that and communicating and being transparent, and I can't make a motion, so it's up to council to choose the action of our city administrator. I think our charter says that it's mayor and council, and I really think that it's important for me to be a part of that committee to explore candidates. Ultimately, it'll be council's decision on where you motion and the process, but I think for all the reasons mentioned and for what I've demonstrated to this community and to council, I feel like I deserve a seat at that table.
Okay, so you're saying mayor and council, that's part of the charter?
It's yeah, so
Should be following the charter.
precisely. So it
I
says,
agree
it says
with
city administrator serves at the discretion of
following
mayor and
the-
council.
Yeah, I agree with following the charter because we kind of fell off that. So if that's a rule from charter, then,
I'm glad to forward the language. I think I sent it in one of our email threads because it was a topic of discussion, but it explicitly states that.
but I do also understand what Rob is saying because, if it was 3 council people, then, I don't know. I think we could just discuss that a little bit more without having, the mayor's point of view, which, we need to have that. But I still think we should go with the charter. I don't think, that's what our whole point was, that we fall off the charter stuff and we should just.
Well, the charter is silent on how we create committees to appoint these things. A committee can be 2 council persons, it can be 1 council person, it can be, just the mayor, it can be the mayor and, so the charter is silent as to how we create this committee. Once we vote for a interim or full-time replacement in the city administrator's role, that's where it's an appointment by council, but it serves at the pleasure of mayor and council. That's the verbiage of it. So the committees, it's not required that the mayor's position is on the committee. It's not required that he's not on the committee. It's up to us to make just a simple motion one way or another. I'm not opposed to Mayor Schumate being a part of this. I think it's important to have the discussion as to the positives and the negatives that we've seen in the past and present, and make sure that we make as educated a decision as possible. So I feel like, I'm a 50-50. I'm right in the middle. I think it's important to see both sides of it. So I'm right on the fence in my position here.
Council Mayor, I think whatever the committee is finding, and you're bringing it back to the committee.
Precisely.
as What you discovered, out of 3 people, you can't drop some stuff off. Out of 3 people, you're gonna be bringing it back. Ultimately, the council is going to be grabbing those resumes.
Yep.
And that person's gonna be right here, and we're all gonna ask him all kinds of stuff. So, you can have 10 people on the committee. As long as the information that you guys are discovering is coming back to this chamber,
The more the
I
merrier.
agree, there is probably there's a lot of fogginess on committees in this town, but there's a lot of people that don't volunteer for a long time. Right now, you're seeing the most participation you've seen in history.
Okay.
The past 20 years, so this is really great that people want to be involved in this, so.
Well, when I looked at that list of candidates, and I said, as I mentioned, I opened 4 of them, and 2 of them I thought, nah, and 2 of them I thought, wow. if we could get this person in here for 6 weeks or 8 weeks while we're going through our search process, they could really open our eyes to some things that we don't even know about yet. So who as a group gets together and reviews these applications and brings forth a recommendation, the more the merrier, I guess, in that case.
And we'd be looking for, thank you for all the discussion there. Thank you, Treasurer Arp. I think what we're looking for two motions. One is to establish the committee members, for which, like I expressed, I'd like to be a part of that committee. Councilman McNabb, Councilwoman Wood. That would be the committee that's tasked with exploring this interim manager opportunity. The second motion would be a special meeting, which I would suggest we do earlier than later, like earlier next week, for which the committee could come back to council with recommendations on how we procure or secure a interim manager to support our interim needs while we play out the broader hiring process.
So what are we going to figure out the process of this, of what manages the process? If it's the three of you that are in here, is there a roadmap on this process? Or is it going to be, for instance, I serve on the short-term rental process with you. It's you, myself, Councilwoman Cosmore, and some other folks, citizens of the city that are on that. But you've decided the framework of that committee. You know, you've quarterbacked it, you've told us what the process is going to be. Is that going to be the same pathway that is going to be followed in this committee with Councilwoman Wood and Councilman McNabb? Is it going to be you leading the charge of creating the process, or is it going to be a process that we agree upon and make a motion on what this process is? Because if it turns into, my fear is that if it turns into, you quarterbacking the thing and coming back with your recommendation, that really alleviates council's participation there. And I want to make sure that we're inclusive of all this, and it's not just, your process.
I totally respect that. I think, just as you commented on the short-term rental study committee, the structure was motioned by council. All I was trying to do was make sure that we actually met, and I was the volunteer for taking notes and sending those note updates. But I'm more than glad to explore whatever council's direction requires on what council wants to achieve. I think we're all aligned. We just want to explore these interim managers and come back with a path to get one in the seat.
Yeah, I see the three of them meeting together, and you guys take the best out of the few, and then, are you going to bring them back here for us to interview the top
I think
three
I think
and
a
have us-
beautiful model might be to see if they'd be willing to come to that special meeting to have a discussion or for council to ask questions. I mean,
But I see Councilman Moller's question. Are we going to pick the right three?
Well, when they come before us to interview them, if we don't like them, we don't like them, we send it out and
Okay,
new ones
that's
come
where
back.
it's
I mean,
at.
I've been in that process, so we threw out the people that showed up. We had to interview like 4 different people for like the board. It's like, no, I didn't like any of them. Let's do this again.
So I like
So
what
you
you
can do
said
that.
there to be part of the motion, how, like you said, the bring us back three. Bring us back,
Bring
so,
the top
so,
three.
so if your committee of three goes through a process to narrow the list down to 3 perspective, and then bring those 3 perspectives back to us, making that part of the motion, so that what we don't get is just a single offering.
Yeah.
And that's where I see problems.
yeah, I respect that entirely. I think it's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, that's, the part, like I said, the part I've had experience, that's, we've always done it that way. The committees are always, on this board, there are always 3 council members, or board members, because you never know if someone's gonna be sick, you never know.
Yeah.
Or you definitely got the 3 different opinions, so if you go through that list, and between the 3 of you can come up with your top 3.
I love that. So that would be the motion on the table.
Is that your motion, Councilman Molnar?
I'll make the motion, yeah, not a problem. I make the motion to create a committee designed to, a committee comprised of Councilman McNabb, Councilwoman Wood, Mayor Schumate, to review the short list of interim city administrators, to provide full council a list of their top 3 choices for us to explore for further appointment potentially, based on our, motion at that time. Yeah, I make that motion.
Second. Katie, did you get it?
I can say it again. They're rambling. One more coffee?
Yeah, can you repeat it, please?
Yes, not word for word, though. Make the motion to create a committee, a search committee for an interim city administrator comprised of Councilman McNabb, Councilwoman Wood, Mayor Schumate, directed to review the short list of candidates provided by MML and come back with their top 3 candidates for interim appointment consideration. Period.
Do we have a date we're on the back?
Well, let me add a due date by Friday, by this Friday.
Love it.
Got it.
Love
You'll
that.
notice, once you get on that list, you may call some of them, you guys gotta go down and call and talk to them, you may find out some of them's not available anymore.
Too
Exactly.
expensive.
Yeah, they want too much money, or,
Yeah.
now, do we need to set a parameter of how much money we wanna spend on this?
Yeah.
'Cause it's
Well, that
gonna
would come
cost
back to us on Friday. Yeah, have
So
these
make
results
sure you have that.
delivered by Friday so that we have time to publish for a special meeting the following Monday.
I love this.
Or we can set a meeting up now. could
Before we
just
go
do-
much further, we need a second.
We gotta,
I provided a second.
Oh,
Cox.
did you?
got it.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on that motion at hand? I know the financial element of it, so we'll do our best to gather that financial information. And Amy's unfortunately not feeling well, but we'll make sure she's a part of that dialogue.
Some of them may only be available for 3 weeks, I mean,
Yeah.
so you wanna make sure you have them, at least 6 weeks available to us,
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I love that. Any further discussion on the topic? Katie, can you call roll, please?
Asmore?
Yes.
McNabb?
Yes.
Molnar,
Yes.
Schumate?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. And then the second motion would be a special meeting if council chooses. So you'd have the information on Friday and then the special meeting, whatever date council would.
Are we gonna bring them here on Monday to interview them?
That would be the goal. Would be awesome to have that, right? That'd be
I
an
think it'd be
ideal world.
available
Well, that's something you
between
guys
now
have to
and
find
Friday.
out. You
Today's
guys will,
Tuesday, so,
I'm sorry?
it'll be some work between now and then,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
but that would,
I guess the question is like, does council want a special meeting on Monday or Tuesday or sometime early next week?
I like the idea of doing a special meeting early next week. I'm wide open. So whatever, if there's conflicts of any sort, let us know, but
Tuesday nights are hard for me, because that's my Kiwanis meeting, I'm in
Yeah.
charge of those.
So
Like tonight, we didn't have one, thank goodness. so-
is Monday work for
Monday's
everybody?
fine.
Monday's fine with me.
Monday?
Love it.
Yeah.
Monday at 5?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
earlier the better.
That sounds like a great treat.
What, do you got a basketball game to go to?
The motion is,
Now,
Yeah.
the motion to hold a special council meeting, what's the date on Monday?
5th, February 5th.
Monday, February 5th at 5 PM, and we have to give a this has got to be precise, right, for a special meeting of what we're holding.
Well, that's just for the
Review,
Or for the interview of our candidates.
review and interview potential interim city administrators,
yeah.
right?
I think that is spot on. And Katie can make sure we have all of our public notices.
That would be my motion.
Would,
I support.
for discussion purposes, would it make sense to include in that special meeting a continuation for department head and contracted services in the event that we don't get through everything we want to get through tonight on that topic? So we can have the ability to also discuss that?
Well, it will be a long meeting, just because you're gonna be interviewing, so you gotta think of that.
Ah, okay,
So
yeah.
each one of them, you're gonna, to get anything out, at least a half hour, 45 minutes. to
Okay.
Each one, and you're gonna have
Okay.
3 to go through, so.
Understood, yep, okay.
Well, we could put it on the agenda, but not necessarily take
Yeah, we can
action on
table
it. You
I
can
mean, always
postpone it.
table
Does that need to be part of the motion, Katie, or is that only for posting?
It's nice to have it in the motion.
Okay.
Yeah, so people are aware.
So it gives us more flexibility, it doesn't, we
Yeah,
don't
'cause you can
have
always
to.
table
But
it
if-
if you don't
yeah.
get to it. if you want.
How long will the election committee be meeting?
Maybe an
Calling
hour.
that out at 2 o'clock?
Hour and a half tops.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're talking 2 o'clock Monday.
Katie, can you just read what you have so council's aware of what you've captured so far?
I have to hold a special meeting on Monday, February 5th at 5 PM to review and interview potential interim city administrators.
Council would have the discretion to add or revise.
Rob, you want to
I'm good with keeping it as is right here and keeping it, maybe we'll have a shorter meeting.
And then the next week, it'll be on the regular agenda, will be the next meeting.
Yeah.
So we have a motion, and I think I heard Councilwoman Cosmore, was that a second from you?
Yeah.
Do you have that captured, Katie? Any further discussions on that motion? All right, Katie, can you call roll, please?
McNabb,
Yes.
Mulnar,
Yes.
Schumate,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Cosmore.
Yes.
Okay, great. So that lands a committee to look into these interim manager opportunities and a special meeting on the 5th at 5 PM. I want to just open it back up to council for the next part, which is the broader administrator hiring process. So obviously in your packet, you have a couple things I think council should consider carefully. One is the existing applicants we received so far. Katie, can you keep us honest? Was there 8 in total, I believe, in the packet? I think it was 8 that came through.
Yeah, and I haven't received any more since.
So Katie received 8, and those are all included in your packet. As a backdrop, the second item was Michael's priority list. So this is like the high 30 flag, which is related to the discussion we already had. And then the other items you have in front of you printed but shared earlier were a resident, Mrs. LaPointe, shared some perspective on the hiring process, and a resident, Mr. Fonte, also shared perspective on the hiring process. So turn over to council on how we best manage what we have as the current applicant pool / process considerations for pursuing a hire for the full-time city administrator.
So first thing, I think already 8 applicants is good. It's, from a historical perspective, what I think I've gathered from talking to some of the previous servants of the city, were that we've had as many as 30 applicants in 2012 or 8 or whatever it was back then, and then as little as 3 at the 2017 period. So the fact that we're at 8 now is good, but I think it can be better. I think a big part of the discussion that we need to have is related to roles of the city administrator. Right now, the 3 roles embodied by the city administrator are the city administrator role, the DPW role, and the downtown development director role. And I think our current posting that requires all 3 of those roles may scare away somebody who does not have DPW or DDA experience. And so if our goal is to get the best possible candidate, I think we need to cast a wider net and just relist the job opening for city administrator only. And enhancements would be the ability to perform additional roles. And what my background behind that, it goes all the way back to when in the 90s, the city administrator was also the police chief here in town. And then when Rick Novak was the existing DPW director, I think he lives on Navarre here in town. Rick was the DPW director, and when he went to work in the private industry, Paul Lear put his hand up and volunteered to absorb the responsibilities of the DPW director, in addition to his role as police chief, in addition to his role as city administrator. And then in 2008, when he left, I think it was when Canterbury took over as chief of the police department, he did not also take the responsibilities of city administrator and DPW director. And so those were the 2 additional roles of Paul's that were left open when he stepped down and we got a new police chief. And so it just happened to be that there was 2 roles open, and the city decided at the time, well, rather than hiring 3 people to replace the 1, we're just gonna, hire it with 2 people. So I think we're finding a similar scenario right now as how do we shift the roles, or how do we consider the shifting of roles, or do we not consider it and just go role for role replacement in the position? I think that we're going to get more applicants if we have less required roles of the position, at least in the applicant process.
Just leaning on the data, I would love to understand that further, because the posting we put out, the majority of the applicants don't have DPW director, DDA. So based on the application data we have so far, it's not prohibitive to broader applicants.
So we don't have to throw these 8 applicants away. We keep these 8 applicants that have already applied. We haven't had any come in. We repost it with city administrator only. There's only a net positive that we can get. We can only get more applicants. We can't get less applicants. We're not going to lose the 8 applicants that we have. We still have the 8 there's no downside to reposting this with just city administrator only. Unless, at least from my perspective, did you guys see a downside? Is there a downside? Please.
Treasurer Arp, just for the public, can you step up to the mic? I'm sorry. Or you, feel free to grab a seat. Why don't you come sit up here?
I see where
Art,
you're
can you make sure that mic's on for him?
But my concern on that would be, Rob, is cost, as far as, I mean, administrator, I don't know what an interim will want to do, but a long-term administrator is probably going to want to be paid well. DPW person probably wants to be paid well. I don't know if we can split that in half. Maybe.
Well, that's part of the conversation that we ought to have. We shouldn't just say, well, this is the way we've always done it. That's a bad business model.
I agree, but the only thing that I would disagree with you on is that he actually holds more, he's the administrator,
Well, we're saying he, but it's not necessarily a he.
Yeah, you're right, Public Works, DDA director, she will also participate in the pension, HR, benefit coordinator, planning commission interface, so.
But not necessarily. Why, that's going with the model of we must go role for role replacement. We have the ability to shift roles around within our existing personnel. And if we wanted to, we have and we should have these uncomfortable conversations. We have to. We owe it to our community to have these conversations. But just to not want to bring up something because it's a hard conversation doesn't get us anywhere.
I'm not saying we shouldn't.
So
I'm not saying we shouldn't bring it up.
So is the downside of posting for city administrator only isn't the posting itself, it isn't the result of the applicants, it's, what I'm hearing from you is it's, if we decided to hire somebody who was a city administrator only and not a DPW, then there's a financial downside to that.
What I'm saying is, I think the pool gets shallower as you take away some of these responsibilities.
How does, we already have 8 applicants based on this. We can't have less applicants than we already have.
Right, but what are we, when we decide to separate these roles that you're suggesting, we might want to consider a new committee. I mean, what are you going to take off his table? Are you going to take HR off his table?
No. Just the 3.
Because they've done it before. I mean, Mark Kibbe did it before, Derek did it before, Mike's done it before. They've done it before. Maybe not to everybody's liking, but that was the role, that was the responsibility, that was the questions that we threw at them before they raised their hand, and they came to the city and we hired them. So.
But that's going with the model, that's the way we've always done it.
Right,
But
that was.
we've had a police chief that was the police chief and city administrator who wasn't DPW. We've had these things, and we've had them based on the circumstances that we've been in front of. The actual listing of the job doesn't tie to what we decide to do with shifting responsibilities. I think that we need to deep dive. We need to have the conversation of if Chief Kane is head of DPW and head of fire, are we shortchanging one of the departments or other departments? We need to have these conversations. And to say that, well, gosh, guys, these are tough conversations, and gosh, we're going to be hit with financial limitations on these, we should just back off and just do what we always do. I don't agree.
Well, you're putting words in my mouth. I'm not saying it's something that we shouldn't discuss. If Bill is willing to do that, then Bill should say something. But, I mean, we've not done this before. There's some big responsibilities there. What I'm just saying is, when these 8 that you have in here now, we haven't talked price. So how much are they willing to come here for, and what do they want to do as far as their responsibility? And what does our city council here expect them to do?
One of my big fears is that by listing it with the DPW and DDA as a required spot, we're narrowing our net. We're narrowing our focus. We're not having very many female applicants there who maybe don't have as much experience in the DPW. Maybe they have more experience in the police field. Maybe they have more experience in the finance field. I think we're narrowing our search so much to where we're picking only a certain type of candidate to consider. We're not casting a very wide net. That's my fear there.
I think the data disputes that, right? Because the data we're getting here in the applicant pool is we have women represented, and we have, majority of them don't have DPW director experience, nor do they have, DDA oversight. So I guess I'm just trying to understand what problem we're trying to solve, because I want to make sure we discuss that, Rob, to your point, but
Where's the downside?
the downside would be time and like the bigger picture conversation we'd have to have, right, as a council on like how we're, I guess that's my question, is what problem are we trying to solve? Because you're saying you want to widen the applicant pool, but what I'm saying is we have a wide applicant pool. I mean, we have everything from a barista at Starbucks. We have several women. We have DPW director. We have a spectrum here. So I don't think, you're saying this, the job posting was prohibitive to getting a wider net, and I'm saying the data would suggest otherwise.
But we don't have the other data points. We don't have what it would look like if we did list it out separately. That's missing data. So we're just making that assessment based on just this one side of the data. If we put it out, we could get the other side of the data. We could say, yeah, you're right, or yeah, you're wrong.
Yeah, it's ultimately up to council. I guess I'm just not clear on what the problems we're trying to solve, because you led with the applicant pool being limited, but we're getting a really wide applicant pool with women and director.
I would like to have more that's the problem I would like to solve, is having additional applicants.
I'm sorry, Marcia. The other thing I'm just concerned with is how much is council willing to pay for this one applicant to do these many things? Or, to Councilman Molnar's suggestion that we split these up, how much are we willing to pay a DPW, administrator? Because once we take some of these things off, we have to now offer this prospective administrator less money.
Right, agreed. I think that if we have I don't want to take, was there something you wanted to add there? I don't think we should make the decision prematurely. If we have an applicant that is an amazing DPW applicant, but hey, look, they're not really great for city administrator, we ought not disqualify that candidate based on that. We ought to look, do we have the ability to shift responsibilities around in-house? Do we have the ability to afford somebody additional? I think we need to have those conversations and look at those things. But if we have one person that's a C-grade candidate that can be the city administrator, the DPW, and the DDA, that doesn't achieve a goal here. That doesn't give us the best possible person for the role. But if we find somebody who's an A-plus candidate at city administrator, but they don't have the desire, ability, or capability to fill the other role, I think we need to figure out how do we try to make that fit, or how do we try to make that work, and can we? But I don't think we should narrow it now at this point, at the applicant process.
No, I agree with you. We shouldn't narrow when we're looking, but I'm afraid that the applicants will back off if we offer them half and half of what we're already currently paying.
Yeah, and I think my question is, what job description do you then evaluate your candidate against? Because you've now put out to the marketplace 2 different job scopes. So when you get the applicants back, right, like how do you, are we evaluating them against job posting A that council approved to put out, or job posting B? I think it sends a mixed message to the applicant pool, including the 8 that we have, for which I feel like we have some strong talent for council to discuss. I think the question council should ask themselves is, out of the applicant pool we have, what is missing? Like, what do you not see in the applicants we have today that you wanted to see as a part of the discussion?
So this is all something that should be discussed both at the committee that we make for this.
Yeah.
But I really, really, truly think that we have a big discussion that we have to have as a council based on the roles of department heads. And we're talking about it all right now under this line item of the city administrator position because it's all coming to how we post the job. But a lot of these conversations are gonna come up under our next bullet point that we have here in tonight's special meeting of department head reviews. There are, the way that the department heads are set up now may be changing in the future. You know, we may decide as a group that we want to consider shifting responsibilities or discussing with our internal personnel if we want to continue the engagements the way that they are now, or whether we want to make some changes, right?
First time I'm hearing of department head changes in how they job scopes are.
But isn't that part of what our job is up here? Isn't it to manage the city and make?
100%.
So part of a department head review is determine, are they doing a good job? Are they doing a bad job? Could they use some work? Could we improve services of the city? Are there things that, is one person in department head, are they overloaded? Do we need to take some of their burden away from them? Do we need to give them tools and resources to help them with their burden? All of these things are what we're tasked to do as council members and governors of this community. And that's what I'm suggesting the conversation we're gonna have. So it could very well be plausible that during these conversations, we tweak the responsibilities of certain departments and certain positions. I'm not suggesting there's some preconceived notion that somebody's privy to. I don't have a plan in my back pocket here. What I'm trying to do is have an open dialogue with this group saying, you know, where are there some deficiencies? Where are there some strengths and weaknesses? Where, do we need to tweak some things? Or are we going to just stay with status quo and go roll for roll and we're just going to stay, you know, keep that going forward? At some point in time, there was a deep dive that said, okay, let's have, you know, Paul take over 3 or 4 roles within the city. And then when Paul retired, there was some type of conditions that were in our city that said, all right, the next person's not going to take 3 or 4 roles on. The next person's going to take 1 role on, and we're going to replace them with 2 people. Why can't we have that conversation now? I thought that was kind of like our responsibility.
Yeah, council can have any conversations. I just led with what problem are we trying to solve, right?
Yeah, additional applicants is the problem.
Okay, and so then if council chooses, my risk would be timeline and confusion to the applicant pool because you're sending 2 different job postings. So how do you grade any applicant against 2 different job postings?
There'd be 2 different pay scales too.
100%. I just think it signals, I think it's almost like putting the cart before the horse in the sense that it signals a decision or a pursuit of exploration to the market or talent without us having a problem we're trying to solve instead.
So does this limit us, sorry, I'm sorry.
No, please go
So
ahead.
does this limit us to then the next person that we hire for the city administrator position, irregardless of their capabilities, the next person is going to also be the DPW director and DDA director?
I don't think that's been a decision that anybody has made nor suggested. That's just with the job posting, we've gotten a pool of applicants for council to consider.
So why would a new posting muddy that at all?
Because council already motioned to post the job as it stands, right? So let's not forget that council, those sitting around us, took action to post a job. That job led to applicant pool that's very diverse and a full spectrum of individuals, not just DPW directors or DDA overseers. So I'm just, again, I'm not clear on the problem we're trying to solve, but that's council's discretion. I think it sends a mixed signal, and I think it's a timeline consideration as well.
Yeah, I'm not, I guess I don't comprehend the timeline decision, because it's however long it takes to make sure we do a thorough process is how long it takes. And if that means we have to do things twice or redo things as we learn new things, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's ultimately, I want council to discuss this. I think it's a really important discussion to be had. I just, again, I'm not really clear on the problem, but.
Yeah, I mean, to restate it again, I think if we have a application out there that only talks about the minimal position requirement of city administrator, I think that broadens the net and gets us more applicants. I think one of the challenges that we've dealt with before in the city administrator process, the city administrator position, is that they had too many responsibilities and weren't able to dedicate enough time to the chief responsibilities of city administrator. I think that's been an issue, and I think by having the current listing out there that states that we want another person to come in and be overburdened with multiple responsibilities, gets less applicant pool of people willing to do the job. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear other
please.
council people's perspective too.
Same. Council, any perspectives on the discussion at hand?
I agree, it will broaden the net.
I also don't want to, I want to make sure what their job is listed or what they're going to do. I mean, I don't want to lie to a candidate either. They're applying for a job and they're thinking they're going to do all this. We have, you know what I mean? Because that's what we've put out there. So they're coming in, applying, thinking they're going to have to do all these things.
Correct.
Because you don't want to just put out there, just say city administrator, and then they come to interview, it's like, all right, but, oh, by the way, you're also going to get this and this and this.
Well,
You know,
Yeah.
I want to be upfront about what we're asking them to do.
Agreed.
They'll know they're coming to a smaller city too, so there, unfortunately, you do need more hats when you're small. You know, there's more things you have to do. Down the line, I agree with you, we probably do need to look at the jobs and what they're doing and make sure everything's aligned with the thing, but that's gonna be a long process. It's probably something we should have done way before this, you know,
Before we,
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't wanna
when's the best time to plant a tree? The next best time is right now.
Yeah.
to make it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the broader discussion
I
is
think
very well
what
warranted.
Councilman Molnar is suggesting is just to omit those two items within the job description, right? Of what might be posted. And whether it's an additional posting or a new posting, I don't think it diminishes what their tasks are going to be while they're interviewing with us, okay? Or they're going to have some expectation of what their job might entail before, other than the description of city administrator. So I think we're looking a little too deep into what, we've already received 8 applications, and some of these applicants don't have any DPW
Yep.
references within their applications or DDA. They're still willing to apply. I do respect that we want to get as big a pool as we can get, right? It's encouraging that we have 8, but it'd be great if we had 30 like we had in the past. Gives us a lot more to select from. I'm not opposed to relisting this application. I don't think it's going to confuse the applicants. They've already applied, right? And if it broadens our pool, then it does. We can put the DDA requirements and DPW in front of them during the interview
I was
process.
gonna say, that could always be one of the questions we ask when we,
Yeah.
we could always tell them if there's these maybe additional, you know, things, you know, for you to do, so.
Yeah, it's council's choice. You have a motion opportunity.
But I said we are gonna have to really think about when it comes to pay though, because if they're taking on additional, they get more money, you know what I mean? Or if not, if we're shifting it, we have to shift money to the person taking on that role. So.
Yeah, I think what everybody's acknowledging, there's a much broader, much more complex discussion to be had, right? Beneath the posting proposal that y'all are talking about, if the objective of that posting is because we feel like the current posting was limiting in its applicant reach, then that's council's decision if they want to repost. Again, I say council already motioned to post the first one, and I think it sends a mixed signal, but at the end of the day, I don't think it was limiting, meaning we got a spectrum of applicants, but if that's council's motion, then
When
you have
does
the right to do
this
that.
posting go down? I mean, how long is that for?
Katie, I think we posted on the 23rd, I believe, because
Yeah,
council
on
motion on the
MML,
22nd.
it's up for 30 days, but we could extend it.
Okay, so it's up for, so it is up for 30 days.
And you can
Still has some
modify
time
it,
to-
right?
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yeah, please.
So, and Marcia hit on a really good point. If you're a city administrator of a much larger city, you're going to make a lot more money, but you're going to do less because you're going to have more people working for you in these other roles. So the multiple hats here, smaller city, you're going to wear multiple hats and get paid less. So it's a tough, tough job to fill.
Yep.
Because if you're the city administrator of a larger city, you have all kinds of people doing stuff for you, and they still pay them more. So we're, finding someone to do this is, we're really going to be challenged, and I agree with Rob, we got to find the right person. And if we open up the pool and we get somebody who wants to drive an hour each way here, well, that hour's going to affect them to get here and their time and place on time. So just some thoughts. I'm just sitting here listening. I want to give you those
Yeah.
thoughts.
That's great.
Mr.
Treasurer
Mayor, oftentimes, we've seen 2 different styles of applicants, people starting their career and people retired. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. There's a lot more applicants. That is one of the reasons why we were able to pay what we could pay. So if we, I'm not opposed to anything you're saying, Rob. I'm not. I think I believe in council. If council wants to split up the hats and say, you know, Bill, if Bill was interested in doing DPW, or vote it through. But, you know, this has been kind of a stepping stone area. You know, Gibraltar is, like I said, this will be my 5th one in 15 years.
I just want to say, I don't think this is separating positions at this point, right? It's just for the advertisement for the position, what might be the description in there, what might not be the description in there. That's what we're talking about right now. We're not going to separate positions or create other positions at this point. I'm not in that position to do that.
No, we need a lot.
Advertise the position to get the biggest pool, that's what we should do.
Quite frankly, we could probably leave the same one in there and just change one word.
Yeah.
May have these responsibilities also, or just.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a good suggestion. That way it's not two postings
That
in
way,
a
just, it's not
database.
another posting, it's the same posting, but they'll also be aware that they might have those responsibilities.
I'm wholehearted, yes,
Are we aware, are we aware of other applicants that have expressed they feel that the current application was prohibitive? Okay. Okay, yeah, so then I think, to Marcia's point, maybe that's council's discretion on a motion, which could then revise the posting to remove that, whatever sentence, I
Must be,
believe,
just put may.
or may, for which if that leads council to be able to capture wider applicants. That's
I think it's a very
path.
simple fix, and it doesn't have major downside or any downside. It's a pretty simple fix that new readers of it who haven't read it yet can have a little different perspective of it.
Yeah.
Does that trigger?
Then they'll be aware that they might have other responsibilities.
Yeah, I like that, yeah.
It's council's motion.
And along the same note, when I was hired as the police chief, I had no idea I was the emergency manager. Emergency management, dealing with FEMA and dealing with the Fermi plant. So that was something that came up, and okay. I mean, I just had to accept it, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably what the person would do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of times when you start a job somewhere, you start on a base of what your capabilities are, what you're getting hired for, and as you show commitment to the organization, capabilities are improving, and you're willing to take on additional responsibilities, then those opportunities are presented and handled, yeah. So do we have a motion on the table right now?
That would be in council's discretion.
Just make a motion to add may, to change to change the posting to may instead of for sure, I don't know. I don't quite know how to put that.
Yeah,
Currently, it says, as a city administrator, you will also have the roles and titles of Downtown Development Authority Director and DPW Director.
so instead of will, may.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know do we need a motion for that? I think you can just go in there and change it. You need a motion for
Yeah, I
that?
think we should have a motion, a record of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should. And then, you know, if this is used again in 12 years from now, you know, we're setting our future leaders up for success.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, so I'll make the motion to change it from will to may.
And then Katie, I'm wondering if that's just an MML outreach, for example, that they could just revise what they have in the database there?
Yeah, I may be able to fix it myself.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'll second it.
A motion, a second. Any further discussion on that revision to the job posting as it stands? Is there anywhere else we should be posting said job? I know we went to Facebook. I know there's a lot of sharing, thanks to the community members.
There's a few sites on Facebook, like Downriver Jobs. There's a lot of job sites on Facebook. There's quite a few of them out there.
I would just leave that as an open door. If anybody has any suggestions on broader reach of that posting electronically, that'd be helpful.
There was Walsh, but I think that there's Walsh Municipal, and there's the accounting firm that has an executive search component to them, and I'll think of what it is after this, but I don't know if those are, they're probably trying to recruit us to their executive search facilities, but they may have.
A nice little fee to add
Yeah,
on there.
but they may be searching for people, and if we bring this to them, they probably monitor MML and will reach out with their applicants anyway, but it couldn't hurt to send it to Walsh Municipal Services and then also to Baker Tilly. Baker Tilly is the accounting firm that has an executive search component to it. So, yeah, both those two firms are some people we should at least give them a personal outreach and say, hey, we've got this position open.
Cool. I like that.
They'll probably try and recruit us as clients, but
Do you have a known contact there you could forward those
Yeah,
along to?
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely,
cool.
yeah.
That'd be great.
Since we're still on kind of a discussion.
Yeah, we are.
and We've got the thought process that we're gonna have some people here Monday. Michael's gone Monday, so we're gonna have some plans on, if that doesn't work out, we can't get somebody for a week or 2 weeks, how we're gonna handle his emails, his phone calls, all his job responsibilities. I know we're hoping that we're gonna get somebody, but, I mean, we should probably have a plan for what we're gonna do if we don't get that person for 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
100%, and that's a critical part of today's discussion. We'll close this motion out and dive into that one for sure. Any further discussion to be had today? All right, Katie, can you call roll?
Mulner,
yes.
Schumate,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Cosmore,
Yes.
McNabb.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so this is great. So we have our interim manager committee, we have our special meeting, and then we have the revised job posting to cast a wider net on applicants. To Chief Tangway's point, it's in your packet, as well as the printed materials. I think the focus should probably be on the first document I gave to you this evening, which is really kind of like the highest priority list. Michael, thanks again for putting that together, but basically the question I posed to Michael was, in the next 30 days, what's real hot and what can't fall off? Beyond the list you'll have Michael's broader project plan in your packet. And then Michael kindly started assembling all of his email addresses of people that reach out to him. I think Michael has about 50 to 70 emails a day, is what you told me earlier. Roughly. So there's the operational elements, the email flow. Michael's coded in an Excel file that will be shared with council and department heads. Basically, what important emails come through and who it's from and like what should be focused on for reply or addressing. So you'll have a kind of a key players contact in addition to the project scope. But I think right now what we're in a situation is, Treasurer Arp offered to help cover some bases, whether that's meetings. Michael's going to have his phone with passcode ability for us to access that information. And then obviously our email visibility, so like a forward communication to applicable parties. But the discussion today should be, even if we have the special meeting on Monday, we need bases to be covered, and I'll be in the office, our department heads obviously have a lot on their plates, but let's just open up the discussion on beyond Treasurer Arp and potentially Dominic, which,
I can come in, I'm retired, I can come in helping as much as I can.
I mean, would there be like maybe like one thing to consider, like Marshall, what days would work for you, right?
I'll check my.
I'm sorry?
I'll check my calendar, because I do know there's days I have to doctor appointments for my husband.
Sounded like Chief was raising his hand.
The first week of February, I do have that conference, and then after that, I should have some time to help with whatever we need. I just think some of it's going to be, computer access, different things we need to stay on top of, which is on the list. Maybe we need to, our next department head meeting, we can sit around and divide some of this up too and see who's, best in their lane. I think looking at this list, Amy probably already can deal with the portal. We have to keep in mind that Katie's going into election season, so she's going to be really busy.
Yep.
So we don't want to add anything to her plate. So that's other little things, so maybe.
Well, I'm sorry, don't mean to interrupt, but I know when our conversation earlier, we were talking about McKenna, and they have potential short-term office support that could play a role in helping some of the administrative tasks potentially.
Yeah, we could, she's here now longer hours as it is, but maybe we could ask Sam for some help in that if need be. They have BSNA experience. They may be able to help us. We could just ask. Never hurts to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with so Councilwoman Cosmore raised her hand, willing to come in the office. Are any other council members willing and able to help with physical time or presence?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm able to do either 2 half-days, doesn't matter, it can be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I can do 2 half-days, or I can do 2 hours a day.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
So 2 half-days. Marcia, just for planning purposes, as we're taking notes and follow up, like, is this a 1 day a week thing for you or like a periodic as needed?
Probably, I could probably come in every day, I just have to check the time, like I said, he's still going through physical therapy, and I have him to drive and stuff, so.
Okay.
Probably the mornings I could come in.
All right, so we have 2 council members. Any other council members have availability, or Councilwoman Wood? What's your scheduling considerations look like?
I'm open. I'm retired. I'm open. I
Oh,
don't care.
look at
Somebody
that.
can't make it, I will come in, step in.
What about Woody and taking care of this fine
Yeah, I'll
gentleman's collar?
make Woody come and do some stuff too.
Okay, so this is great. So we have at least three council members who have availability. We have Treasurer Arp. We have Dominic and I love the conversation earlier on the potential conflict, given it's an applicant, but I know Dominic's already been putting his hand up for like grants or other stuff, so that might be like a tailored area that we could consider.
Could I recommend maybe we send out a calendar and shoot it out, fill in when you can put in 2-hour time slots?
I love that.
And we could circulate it amongst the, Brian, Marcia, myself, and Dorothy, and if we can't fill it all out, then we reach out to Dominic to help fill it out.
So a calendar, yeah, like a Google Doc or something?
I was thinking a piece of paper, but
Google Docs, so it's real time. And then I think, obviously, like, the details are imperative here, but the windows of availability would be nice, because then if there's meetings, that person can attend the meeting, in addition to the operational stuff. The emails, I think we'll be able to triage, because Michael gave us like a, hey, watch out for these names associate with this, which is kind of tying it to projects. So we'll know what's hot to come through the inbox that we need to get back to. And we can all maybe just work together. I'll be in the office every day, so we can work together to figure out who's on base for what. And then we can just keep a constant discussion flowing around this hot topic list, because this is what Michael said are the ones that can't drop for the next 30 days.
do you want me to circulate that Google Doc calendar? Or
That'd be awesome.
I can do that. I don't know how to do it, but I'll figure it out.
That'd be great.
I will do that tomorrow by 10 a.m.
This makes me feel a lot better, so that we have some base coverage on the daily, and we got a good list from Michael on the hot projects. We got a bigger project list, and Michael's got all our calendarization of key, like report windows and whatnot, so it's like a monthly calendar, if you will.
Mr.
Yeah.
Just a thought, with all the city employees and thinking on their behalf, if we have multiple people coming in and multiple people trying to give them directions and who they report to and who, it could just muddy the waters for some of our staff, so.
I wouldn't see it as a directive
Yeah, I don't-
position. This is more of just answering.
Helping, yeah.
Yeah, answering
Just covering
phones
bases.
and emails.
We just want to,
Yeah,
I
oh,
could see
yeah.
that question, and I could see some staff members.
I don't think any of us would feel comfortable like we have the basis knowledge to be able to give any directives whatsoever. Yeah,
No, they're gonna be telling us what to do.
Yeah, no,
Just wanted to make sure, because I'm sure there's going to be some,
We'll be helping clean bathrooms if that's what anybody wants. That's no problem.
I've done it already.
I think Chief Tangway, the point was that our city personnel are already full plates navigating their workload, so really the focus is on covering this plate, for which we'll do that through the time blocks we have.
I'm going to get my list to start pushing off on them. It's perfect.
That would be outside of what we just
Just start with
discussed.
the bathrooms, huh?
All right, this is awesome. So Councilman Molnar will circulate a Google Doc. We have several council members that put their hands up, so we can just populate that. That's just great for physical presence, and then you'll have the email flow, you'll have texts or calls that come in, and then you'll have meetings that are on the calendar, and then we can just work together on this project scope to make sure that nothing on this first page that's hot drops.
I do see Mike's got down, we need to appoint somebody for Shuva. Is that something we should do tonight, Michael?
Yeah, so it's an option for council. He's the alternate for Shuva, so I attend the
Oh, you
board
attend
meetings.
those. Oh, okay, all right. I thought that was-
He's the alternate though, so council will need to take action there, because we need an alternate. Do you have something to add?
Again, for a majority of these projects, I've already reached out to a lot of these agencies indicating that I'd be leaving someone to be stepping into these positions, indicated for applicable staff to assume some of the responsibility as it pertains to it, and they have the accesses that are necessary. So we're trying to, again, build in that redundancy already. Again, for ease of access of information and warehousing, so we are in a safe place as it relates to my day-to-day responsibility. One thing that will be need to be done is we'll have to select a new streets administrator. Again, most of the filings for this have already been completed for the year, and Rains is a great resource to have in the back end for it, as it might be. again, the professional services that we do have are, very strong, very capable people. I would lean on them for support.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, so that helps us have a clear path. And then Chief Tangway, to your also earlier suggestion, the department head meetings. Katie, do you know off the top of your head when our next department head meeting?
It would be next Wednesday, the 7th.
So we already have our council rotation in there, so we'll have a council member present. But we can have more council members if anybody wanted to join that, but we already have our council rotation for our department heads. I don't know who's on the list for next time, but we can take a look.
It's Rob.
So we'll have a council member present at the department head meeting, which would be a good check-in. We're going to see a lot of each other in the city hall office with the rotation we just established, so. I feel good that we have hands on deck to cover the bases unless there's any further discussion on the immediate next week in front of us. Cool. Everybody feel good about that? Any other coverage required? Okay. Okay, so we got our interim committee, or interim manager committee, special meeting next Monday, job posting revision, Google Doc for base coverage. The broader city administrator hiring process. So just to be clear on what we want to discuss for next steps, we have all those bases are now covered, but how are we, council, looking to manage the broader applicant pool? I guess I'd start with just like we have 8 applicants in front of us, and we have a job posting that's going to go out for more applicants. As we look at the applicants, are we seeing something that we feel is missing, like any reaction to the applicant pool, or just trying to understand that in context of our path ahead?
I know myself, I read through them, probably eliminated about half of them, but I did see some really good ones. I just kind of going off what their experience, what they did have, what they didn't have, and that was just my opinion when I read through. I think everybody, when you read through the things, you have your own opinions of what you're looking for, I do think we have a couple really, really viable ones that, I know I don't want to say names now because I know that not all these applicants want their names known because they're not ready, unless they're getting interviews and stuff, so.
Do we want to keep the applicant posting up for a certain prescribed period of time before we close it and then consider the applicants that we have? Or do we want, do we want to jump in?
Yeah,
That would
so-
be the way
I think
to
that's smart, especially with the pool we have. I think my biggest concern to council is, I think the good news is we'll have the revised posting for a broader applicant pool, so we'll have that data. For any of the applicants that may come through our pool that could be good candidates, I just want to be mindful of their commitments and decisions they make around their job future and the potential to miss those. But I'm not to say to do it rush, I'm just want to be mindful of that so I like Councilman Molnar's proposal on a date to land a applicant review. So that's up to council on kind of how you're thinking about that. Our next council meeting is February 12th.
Treasurer Arp, this question would be for you from our perspective. You've got some historical process going through this multiple times. And I bent Cindy Lear's ear earlier today and asked her about her processes in this too. And I guess, did you guys use a committee with just a select number of council people, or was it all hands on deck to review? Was there a process that you guys used and it found successful?
Everybody was involved. We all got their resumes. Everybody's responsibility was to read through them. And we basically picked our top 3, top 5, I can't remember at that time. And the mayor was the lead, and we went back through a study session, and amongst a study session, we all agreed we want these 3, 4, 5 people. And when it was time, we actually had some that didn't even show up, so those were easy. But that was it. That was the process.
And Cindy kind of told me the same thing through her experiences too, is that everybody on the council and mayor's office picked, 3 to 5 of the resumes.
Yep.
And then you found out where the commonalities were and narrowed it down to a group of 5 remaining applicants or 3 remaining applicants. I suggest 5, the more the merrier, to get in front of all of us for an interview. But they interviewed in front of the full council at a study session.
Correct.
And I like that
I like that a
model.
lot.
And Yeah, I would recommend that model going forward. It's worked for the city in
That's how we did
previous.
superintendent too.
Okay.
But I know we had like a scoring sheet, you know, just so everybody had their own, so then we, you know, we all had to rate them by a number, and that's kind of how we ended up with our top. I think we did the top 5 picks or 4 picks.
Okay.
And then,
Already done that.
you know, and then we,
And
then
with
we,
my
inter- we,
stars.
yeah.
How many stars did I have this
So,
week?
I mean, a rubric, we could make a rubric. You
I like that a lot.
for it, and then,
Correct.
We hit the top ones, we pick the top ones and interview them from that point.
Treasurer Arp, do you have anything on the rubric too?
Another item that we can utilize is the administrator's annual review sheet.
Yeah.
We should be familiar with that. You can utilize that and either wordsmith in your interview questions or have them in your head while you're reading through the resumes. So if we still have those, don't we, Katie? Can we have those distributed out?
Yeah, and we had those review sheets in the last council packet, but we can recirculate that for council to take a look at. I like that suggestion.
And I know too, so when you do the interview questions, we should have a set before us, and we all need to make sure that we're sticking like to a script, because it's not fair to the candidates just to go off and do your own
Right.
questions, and I don't think is legal either. You're supposed to go off the script.
What-
You can ask them to expand on their questions if they give you yes or no, you know, but, so that's how we've always done it. I've been on a lot of hiring committees, I mean, a lot, over 18 years there, I was on a lot of them. And, we always went by a script, and we just,
Meaning every applicant gets asked the same question.
every applicant gets asked the same
Exact
question.
yeah.
I think it's a fair component, like, to make sure it's consistency across the questions being put in front of applicants.
And, you know, we just have to make up our questions, and everybody, I mean, I'd be willing to type that up if people wanted to send me what questions they would like to ask an applicant, and then we just make it, and then we'd all have one, just kind of like take turns asking the question, and
So I was just looking to see the last applicant we got in. I'm just, because to Councilman Molnar's point, as far as like the window that we set as a target timeline for applicant pool sharing and review, January 26th was the last applicant that came through our current posting, posted on the 23rd. So seemingly, the data would suggest within a few days, you're getting the applicants. We haven't received any since January 26th. So the question becomes, how long is there a deadline council thinks we should put in place, right? Which I agree, that
Yeah.
kind of, the new posting could go up. Katie, I don't want to put words in your mouth. When do you think the new posting could go up, or the revised posting, I should say? Is that a tomorrow
I think
thing?
I can just log in tomorrow and revise it.
Okay, so let's say,
Done it, so I
with the contingency that tomorrow, that posting could be revised, and we could then, Councilman Molnar, you're going to send it to a couple other firms that you mentioned?
Yeah.
And then we can repost it to Facebook as a nice little stimulator. Assuming that, let's see here, all right, so if we thought about the timeline here, council, what do you think? Like, what would be a good target? Our next meeting's
What's our current one, the 23rd is posted for 30 days through the 23rd, 22nd of February?
Right.
So I would say the 22nd of February gives us plenty of time to close it at the end of that. That would be my suggestion. But I'm not,
I might suggest we pull that review sooner, because
Okay.
we see the fall off in applicants we just saw. But that's up to council's discussion there.
I would say usually up within 3 weeks that we have them all.
That would be the-
Does that mean if you,
so instead of the 22nd, 7 days sooner than that, maybe or 10 days sooner, the 12th?
the 12th aligns with our council meeting too?
Yeah, I think that would be good.
And that gives basically about 2 weeks for it to be
Yeah.
posted, the new one to be posted and shared.
And that's just closing of the applicants, so the 12th, we would start the process.
Process.
But it wouldn't be at the council meeting, it would,
That's just the cutoff.
yeah.
It's the cutoff for which everybody would have the pool, right? And then in parallel, we can talk as.
You might be able to bring out a rubric if we have them for, I don't know,
What-
we have time to read them off that came in that day, but we could have, start your rubric on each person.
That's our next council meeting.
That's our next council meeting. yeah.
What about the 13th then, to give that through that day, just in case there's conversation or things that get brought, I mean, because we're not going to be making any decisions on it on the 12th anyway.
I think the only I'm open to whatever the council thinks. The only advantage of having the applicant pool on the 12th is that if council wanted to convene a study session, they could motion at that time
with the available information they have in its entirety, right? Not saying it's a public discussion at the time, but that'd be why I think the 12th would be
Okay, so.
a good approach, if that makes sense.
Having a study session like after the meeting to carry it on, or what?
Or just schedule a date for the study session,
Well,
meaning
we can do
council.
that, we could do that anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any issue with the 13th, if council wanted the 13th. I think the benefit is you're gonna be we're all together on the 12th, and you'd have the applicant deadline then.
Deadline on the
Yeah, I think,
13th.
I honestly, I don't see it. I don't-
13th's fine.
Yeah, it's six and one, half a dozen of the other. I don't think it's.
What does council want? They're just,
I won't be here that day. I have election training.
okay.
Yes, I will be with
So
Katie.
Marcia won't be here either.
All right, what does council want then, 12th or 13th?
Doesn't matter, whatever, anybody
When
wants.
there's a motion.
Motion, February 13th, closing.
All right,
Awesome.
second.
Love that. Any further discussion on February 13th? Motion is second.
So you're closing the applicants that day.
Yeah, so you'll have a
13.
final
February.
pool on the 13th.
Oh, that's not gonna be a study session, we're just closing them.
Just closing it,
Okay.
yeah.
Is there a second?
There was a second. Any further discussion on the target there for the 13th? Awesome. Okay,
It's the ball rolling.
Vote, right? We need to vote.
yep. Katie's gonna call roll.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes,
Cox?
Yes.
Hasmore?
Yes.
McNabb?
Yes.
Mulner?
Yes.
All right, great.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
on Councilwoman Cosmore's suggestion of the questions, we have questions for our part-time employees that we hire that are legit. We ask the same questions all the time to every employee. So you might want to get those questions soon if you're pushing these applicants to come in. Not just wait to think about what questions you want to ask these applicants and do it the day before. I mean, you want to have them printed out and ready to ask.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So we can do that on the study session when we're picking out the applicants. We can make
I'm
sure-
just letting you know, for a part-time employee, I have set questions, or Michael had set questions
Yeah.
for us. So,
And you don't go outside of those questions?
well, we haven't gone outside those questions.
Have to stay within those.
What, I'm asking, because I don't know.
I know when I know on the school board, we had to stick with them.
Yeah.
Number escapes my head, but we have a set list of questions, and as conversation travels, they can divulge any other additional information or expand on the concept as they
Yeah, they-
choose to.
they can choose
And
to,
then,
yeah.
if there's anything that is worth following up on,
Yeah.
then that opens the door for further conversation as well.
What limits us, what authority limits us to what number of questions or having the exact, or is it just common practice?
That is the common practice that I have seen in the professional world, and that is common practice that I have implemented here with the city of Gibraltar. As it stands, though, council and the authority may, choose to operate as they choose in that capacity, as long as, there is no governing doctrine that would state that. I would
City
defer to
Attorney, do
legal.
you have anything to add there? The question is there any legal policy or overseeing body that would require you to use a set number of questions, stay on said script for the process of an interview?
Yeah, they're probably, there's certain questions you cannot ask in an interview, with regard to, I don't know, somebody's medical conditions and marriage status and things like that. So yes, I would think that we could get a list of prohibited things that should not be delved into.
That's the thing of the script, when you have them already in front of you, that way
Yeah.
people's not exit, because sometimes it'll just come off the top of your head. If you're staying with the script,
So-
you're not asking things you're not supposed to.
So why don't we do this, just to inform this path, as a proposal. Chief Kane, sorry, you proposed this recommendation, so you have your questions, right? You mentioned like the watch out on the timeline related to Monday's special meetings example. So Dorothy and Art and the committee that's helping prepare council for that will work with you. We'll get the previous questions for any other hiring processes, circulate that with council, and that way council could react to what questions we have, and if there's any limitations or feel like there's not something present, then we can explore the other avenues of what legal bounds we might have on what we can ask or not ask. Does that sound like a fair stepwise process?
Yeah, I've never been through the process before where I have to.
Limit.
Yeah, like if we're going down, if I'm having an interview with somebody And based on a question that they've responded to or information that they've provided, it gives me the opportunity to ask a follow-up question that is not one of those questions that are prohibitive in nature for employment type things, to say, shoot, I can't ask it. I've just never been in a scenario like that. But maybe there's a great compelling reason to, hey, don't ask, I don't know.
You can ask them to expand on their question. That way you're not leaving them, I know I was always told that it was just, and I don't know if it's because it's public sector, it was just different how you did it.
And it makes sense that, sometimes when somebody doesn't want to expand, it says more than if they would
Yeah, if they don't want to
expand.
stay anymore, yeah.
Then you can infer, all right, if you don't answer anymore, then we're going to make whatever inferences we make. Yeah.
And I'm sure with a quick email or a phone call to the MML,
Yes.
they could give you a list of questions you cannot ask.
Yeah, so attorney, council will take that, department heads will take that as looking into this topic and
Yeah,
we'll,
more important.
I'll help you guys out.
We'll set you up.
no action required for attorney.
Allows it, keeps us
Thank
all
you.
on the same.
action?
No action is required for you in relation to the questions. We'll talk to MML and
Okay.
circulate our questions together.
All right, very good.
Okay. Treasurer
I
Arp.
would just suggest if council has questions, submit them to the group here so we can, because I have some of the questions that we've asked all our administrators.
So let's make this commitment. I think this will help the whole process. The committee will get those questions. We should have those all readily available. We can circulate that tomorrow. I don't see any issue stopping us from doing that with council. Katie can help us circulate that. That will give council time to react prior to the end of the week, to see if there's something they feel is missing. And then we can contact MML to see if there's any restrictions on adding said missing questions. Does that sound fair?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, this is great. So that lands the applicant pool deadline of February 13th, and then we'll get questions circulating with council by tomorrow. Any other topic on our city administrator hiring process for tonight's discussion? Okay. So we got interim manager committee, special meeting, job posting revision, Google Doc from Councilman Molnar, application deadline of February 13th, and questions circulating tomorrow for council's input. Great. Let's move on to the next topic. So professional services. We'd love to turn over to council. I think a couple thoughts that I'll lay out just related to the packet information. One was we had received a recommendation. I know I've spoken with Mr. Pentioc and the firm. We received a recommendation to meet with another firm who currently serves as a city attorney for a neighbor, and that's in your packet and shared with council a few weeks back. And so I was just looking for council's perspective on our professional services, legal as an example of that, and how council would like to move forward on any applicable professional service reviews, whether it be legal or beyond.
Yeah, I think that, number one, the professional services, I think we have to, from my perspective, understand that those may be titled in different ways. We're titling them as professional services here, but I think what we're really doing is we're contracting out services that were department heads before. So when the charter was created, the city attorney was a department head position. The city engineer was a department head position. So when you read our charter, the city engineer is actually over the building department personnel and over the planning department personnel, which is not in practice how we're operating now. So these professional services have adapted over the years out of probably cost-benefit analysis that were performed by previous councils and governments. So when we're looking at what we call professional services now, they differ from what was intended when the city was founded and their charter was developed. And I think that we need to really deeply review, is outsourcing our department heads in the best interest of our city? There are certain circumstances where outsourcing is probably a continued necessity for budget constraints, but there's other things that may have changed over the last 25 years that maybe call for it to be brought back in-house. I have a concern over continuing to outsource services. I think we've seen it in the United States for the last 25 years. Outsourcing has been more and more commonplace for financial reasons in private business and in government alike. But what we're finding out is in the long run, that maybe is not such a financially beneficial decision. What was beneficial for a short term has turned into an economic opportunity for those service providers. So, for example, our department, our professional services that we currently have being the attorney, the building department, the engineer, is there more? Is there more than that?
City planner.
Planner, yeah. Right now, assessor, yeah. All of those, none of those have a fiduciary interest to the city, I don't think. Their fiduciary interest is to their organizations in which they work for. So the McKenna Building Department's goal is to make as much money as McKenna can build. Wade Trim's number one goal is to have the best economic opportunity for Wade Trim. Pentiac, Corbière, their goal is to make as much money as they can in their engagement with us. I truly believe that's they're responsible to their shareholders for their fiduciary interests. Whether or not that makes also economic sense for us to entertain those or economic requirement, economic reality, probably is the case in some scenarios. But we ought to continuously look at that and say which ones, if any, can we bring back in-house. And we've already taken a step towards bringing the building department back in-house by getting McKenna in here. Is that step one of a step two or three step process to eventually have the building department being a fiduciary responsibility within the city? And I would look at that for the other professional services that we have now too. I think that's a serious consideration that we have to look at. Some of our neighboring communities, what they do, is, and I've learned this just in conversations today, some of them say, okay, what we would pay a city engineer is X amount per year. And when we put that position out, we will entertain either somebody to come be an employee for us or be a contracted service, but this is what it's paying. And so, hey, if the going rate for a city engineer for a city of our size is 110, 150,000, whatever it is, that's what we're willing to pay for that service. We are not necessarily willing to pay a percentage of everything that gets done. Is that a model we want to consider? Same thing for legal services, flat fee. In a city of this size, we're willing to pay $50,000 a year in city attorney fees. Is that a model that we can consider to have better budgeting capabilities, to knowing that our legal expenses are going to be capped at $50,000 a year unless there's an extenuating circumstance, the lawsuit or something that's outside of the ability to handle in normal conditions, a major negotiation or something that's outside of our standard engagement. So I think that if we can try to draw these responsibilities that were formerly department heads before we started the process of outsourcing most of our city services, I think it's something that we should at least look at whether we consider honing it back in or reining it back in a little bit.
Is to that discussion there, is it primarily focused on financial control? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, correct. Yes, 100%.
So in some of those cases, council then, as they look at these services, could say, okay, we can satisfy the financial risk with a flat fee for an attorney, right? Versus, that's another model considered beyond bringing it in-house does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are we on the same page there? Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just looking for council direction. I know I shared I just want to be very transparent here, the other nomination we received, it's a firm that serves a neighbor of ours, right? And so I just want to make sure that we're respectful in whatever process. We have a firm that has currently been supporting us, and I've said profusely, thank you so much. And I just want to make sure council's a direction on how we want to review these services we have. Legal is one of those services, engineering, building, planner, all the above, right? And if we're going to go down this path of gathering data or information, how do we want to proceed on that? The one big caveat I'll flag to everybody is, if you recall at our last council meeting, with Michael's departure, he has our water license. In order to distribute water, we need to have Rains, our engineer currently, who's providing that water license for the interim. So I just want to caveat that, but either way, this process should prevail. So council, how do we want to move forward?
I like the idea of creating a committee for this because I do think it's a deep dive that is going to take serious time whether it's a study session or a committee, I guess I'm open to either way. But I think that we probably need to have a group of us, again, be it the entire group or be it a committee, could summon data that we need to look. We need to, what have we paid in engineering fees for the last 3 years? What have we paid in legal fees for the last 3 years? And then that same committee or point would also have discussions with the department heads and say, chief, what things could you benefit from, being different on this? Ask our different department heads and our personnel, city personnel, are there things that we could be doing differently in our engagements that maybe we are steering away from now, but if we had a flat fee, we wouldn't steer away from this. Start to ask those questions, and I think that it's not just a matter of 3 questions in 3 minutes. I see this as 300 questions in 300 minutes. I think it's a deep dive that we really have to look at and then come back to the group with a plan of what direction to take it in. Do we put the legal services out for bid before we just entertain 1 or 2 people who have reached out to us?
100%.
Do we write up a scope of work and put it out for public bid, and PCK would be, our current provider would be welcome to bid along with the other vendors that might be out there? That's a consideration that I think is one of the ways that we can go with it. But I do like the idea of either a study session or a committee. I like the committee a little bit better because it gives more flexibility in time considerations. With a study session, I feel like we're stuck in a 2-hour block and we have to ask all the questions we can think of right then. But with a committee, I can, whatever questions, Rick or Dorothy or I or you or Marcia or Art, whatever questions we come up with at 4 o'clock in the morning, we can jot down on our little notepad next to our beds and wake up and ask them. We're not limited as much. That would be an idea that I would recommend for reviewing professional services or outsourced department heads.
Are our current professional service contracts, are they set to be completed in March, I believe?
Some have term dates, some do not. So step 1 is we can circulate that list. I think Katie had already circulated some of the, I think council already has all agreements, but
I believe engineering is expiring this March.
I would be happy to make up a little spreadsheet and put all of our department head, our outsourced department head / professional services, put them in there, put what our contract dates are and when they expire and which ones are open-ended and what I'd start the matrix with what our current fee structure looks like from a broad perspective without getting into the detail. I could do a spreadsheet on that rather quickly.
So there's a spreadsheet element. I want Amy to be.
That's what I'm thinking, this is a big project, and I do agree with you, it's a good thing to look at, but we got another big project going on right now. I'm wondering if we should wait until we get Michael's position settled and then bring on, because all the employees are gonna be taking on extra jobs within the office, and here we're gonna start this, and we're gonna start asking them for more questions, stuff that they really don't have time for right now.
The only, I agree with you. The only one that I would look at is if there's one that's expiring in March, and we're going to have to make a decision on renewing or exploring all, maybe we pull that one out, because we still have to handle that, or something.
Yeah, maybe, that one.
Or maybe we reach out to them and ask if we can go for a 6-month extension,
Yeah,
rather than
that would
entering
be
into a
good.
3-year contract.
One suggestion might be, like, this is great, we're having a discussion right now, because now we're having a directional discussion. We have a council meeting on February 12th. If we could get all this information together prior to February 12th, meaning the expiration dates and priorities, then council can choose on the 12th how they want to handle that, meaning whether it's a committee or a study session, however that wants to be navigated. Might be one suggestion, because it just sounds like we don't have all the information sitting in front of us.
Yeah,
Just throwing it out there.
yeah, maybe that way we can set another timeline, and maybe,
I think we act to the
I just
point.
don't want to overwhelm everybody, and it's already going to be overwhelming, so I don't want to add one more big thing. That's
Yeah,
that's going to be a big project.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think handling one big project at a time makes a lot of sense.
Agreed. Any further discussion on professional services? Sounds like we'll get some data together, and then it'll inform the path, and we can discuss it again on the 12th.
Perfect.
This is great. I think we covered everything we came for in the packets. We have some direction on all topics reviewed. and several motions that were taken to enforce that. Council, was there anything in context of the scope of today's discussion or agenda that you want to cover?
No, I think we did a pretty good job in a relatively short period of time.
I echo that sentiment. Just love the discussion here. Chief Kane, Chief Tangway, anything you want to add? Katie, Michael, Treasurer Arp?
There's still public comment.
Well, thank you all for an awesome discussion, and I think we have clear action items on every topic we came to cover, so this is awesome. With that being said, we will now open back up for public comment. Any public comment for this evening? Please state your name and your address.
Wayne Brennan, 30490 South Gibraltar Road. I was in court today, and I asked about some fines that were issued, and I just can't believe that a $150 fine for not pulling permits. You know, why would you ever pull a permit again if you only got to pay a $150 fine? I mean, that was just, I just almost fell over when they, I'm hoping her information was right, and I'm not, but if that's right, we've got a big problem in the city. Big problem. Because why would anybody ever pull a permit? If you only get a $150 fine when you go, and you had a stop work order put on stuff, I'm sorry, there's something bad wrong. Because I paid more than that for my roof permit a couple months ago, like over double.
Thank you so much,
I
Wayne.
just don't understand what's going on.
Thank you so much, Wayne. If Chief Tangway, I'm only deferring to you, so you can maybe educate us on the process here, if you don't mind. So meaning, for example, not specifics, because we can't speak to specifics, but process. So a ticket is written, what happens, and what role does the court have in that situation?
Myself and Mr. Hurley can tell you that, you know, we write the violations are processed, but the charges and fines are set either by charter or by, you know, our codes and or the court. And, you know, unfortunately, I've seen, you know, we don't have control over all those. Now, we can, and I'm sure Mr. Hurley can chime in on that when it comes to addressing building code violations and fines, but, you know, it's.
Building codes went underneath the traffic division is how they wind up going.
Do you have to-
Civil infractions, I asked all these questions, I was in the
It's a
court for like-
municipal civil infraction, and it's set, if you go into our charter, they're gonna be in there listed. And if you go to the court, but you just don't, you know, we can't just change those. We're the enforcement arm of the law, and then there's the judicial branch of the law. So, you know, that's a totally different branch. So we did our enforcement. I can't control the other part. And I agree with you. It's-
letting you know what happened, and probably nobody else knows. You know,
I was
mean,
tasked to
unless you looked
research
into
it.
I just happened to be in court today and asked.
No, I was tasked to research it for the mayor, and we got that information probably last week.
Yep.
So.
I just couldn't believe, you know, I mean, like I said, my roof permit cost more than that.
Yeah.
We still have to pay for the permit.
Yeah, so Wayne, first off, thank you for coming to the mic and expressing that, and I think what I'm hearing from the chief is we're doing our duty as a city on the enforcement element and traditional arms. No, I just want you to have that
It's just
context. I was curious in the
Crazy that's a
process.
setup like that.
I respect the comment.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else to add? Anything else from our public today in attendance? I want to thank the public. We'll now close public comment, and we'd be looking for a motion to adjourn this evening's special meeting of this council.
Make a motion to adjourn?
We have a motion, and we have a second by Councilwoman Wood. Any discussion? Katie, can you call roll?
Wood?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Cosmore?
Yes.
McNabb?
Yes.
Mulnar?
Yes.
Schuming?
Yes. Thank you all so much, and have a great night. Yeah, that was a great discussion. All right. I like that.
I heard that the second time, but I didn't hear it the first time.
Do you want to do